Bob, it's good to see you, man. Hey, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned coaches coming back to help the team with the bowl game. Can you talk about what isn't really talked about to the outside world? Just the stress that assistant coaches and their families go through during some of these coaching transitions.
Yeah, it's an incredibly difficult time for assistant coaches, and unfortunately, the outside world doesn't recognize that. A lot of these guys are put in a position they don't know if they're going, they don't know if they're invited to go, they don't know if they have a job here remaining, on and on, or do they have one somewhere else, and when does it start? So these guys have done a great job. Brian Odom is putting things together with Calvin Thibodeau and Jamar Kane, and they're doing an awesome job. Will Johnson, our young secondary guy, is working with them. So I appreciate them very much. And, they've worked hard at it. They're up, in the office, putting in the time and putting together a game plan, out on the field practicing. And so it is. It's an incredibly difficult time for assistant coaches, and they're not aware of the change either. So they're caught off guard and by surprise, and they've got families to think about, little children in schools, and so their whole world's turned upside down as well.
Yeah, I want to ask you one more question. In 2017, you were available to Lincoln when he assumed the head coaching job. Do you anticipate the same with Brent, or do you think just his experience and how seasoned the coach is, he may not be leaned on as much?
Oh, he doesn't need any help, but I'm gonna be there. I mean, we're very close, as everybody knows. So of course I'm gonna always be there to lend. Now, again, not that he needs it at all, but you might as well bounce something off me if you got an idea about something or thinking about something, and he knows all I want is for him to do better than I did by a long shot. So we'll see.
Bob, thanks a bunch. Have a Merry Christmas.
Jenny Carlson.
Hey, Bob. We were talking to Deshaun White the other day, and he was talking about the day, I guess, Lincoln left. You gathered not only the team, but some of the leaders. Can you rewind a little bit on that group, who was involved, and just your overall message to them?
Yeah, I just wanted to not only connect with the team afterwards the next morning, then I connected with the leaders, the seniors for the most part, mostly seniors. And then I also wanted to meet with the young group, the freshman class that had just arrived. All of them, I guess it relates to all of them in different ways, and just wanted to connect with all of them, that we understood what they're thinking, what they're going through, but also to understand the strength of this program, understand what you've already invested, understand there's other great football coaches out there, so give this a little bit of time. Just trying to get everyone not to overreact and settle in here and realize the strength of OU is bigger than any one guy, and just to reiterate that. And sure enough, a week later we have Brent Venables, who couldn't be a better fit. There isn't a better fit than Brent here at OU. So yeah, that was it. They just needed to hear from someone that again, I don't know how much they trust me. I don't know if I'm around enough for that to happen, but they sure know I care about this place and care about them.
Did you get a sense when those, especially that senior group, that older group that Deshaun would have been in, did you get a sense when they walked out that they had sort of taken a deep breath? I mean, Deshaun said when those early hours, there were guys that really did feel broken in a lot of ways. Did you sense that there was some calm about those guys after they walked out?
I felt like there was. I felt like they had started to realize, hey, we're all still here. We're all the strength of this program. And I think also what they started to hear from, I really credit and thank all our older players that are in the NFL and have graduated, and even guys that have had NFL careers that aren't any longer. They started hearing from all of our players through the years on, look, you're one of us, we're part of that team still, and you represent all of us. And I think they all started to realize they still are in this great select fraternity that that a lot of people would want to be in.
Thanks, Bob.
Go to Jason Kersey.
Hey, Bob. Wanted to ask you first. With Clark Stroud obviously going to USC, who do you have handling like the logistical DFO duties right now, and how is that being handled?
Oh, a little bit of everybody. Julie Watson, our longtime head coach's secretary, understands how that all works, along with Greg Tipton in the athletic administration. One of our athletic directors has worked over here in football for the longest time, understands what we need, along with, just everybody, Brad Camp, on and on. Everybody has got a little piece of it, and it's really gone smoothly.
And I also just wanted to get your reaction to Brent bringing Schmidty back in the fold, and what do you think he adds? What did he mean to your program all those years, and what do you think he adds coming back?
Schmidty's got great experience. The guy's won a national championship at Notre Dame, a few at Nebraska, here at OU, won one with us, and then been in 2-3 others. So. Schmidty brings great experience. He knows what championship teams look like. He knows what championship teams work like, and how they react to the work. And so we're very fortunate to have him back. And again, there's not a better strength coach in the country. So our guys will be lucky to have a guy like that to work with every day, who's going to maximize their ability and their talent. And he's gonna develop our guys in the right ways, and I'm excited to see it.
Thanks, Bob.
Doctor's Bill.
Yeah, Bob, how important are these bowl practices for the younger players? And can you think of maybe an example or two of like a guy that really just surprised you so much during this period that set him up for a great season going forward?
Yeah, this hasn't really worked out like sometimes when you're in a later bowl game, a BCS bowl, and you weren't going through a coaching search, you've had more opportunity to be on the field with younger players and resting the older players. This hasn't been one of those bowl games that way, with the game being on the 29th. The fact that we had a week on the road where all the coaches were gone recruiting, we couldn't practice that week. Now, once we got back, we were into game mode this past week. So it really hasn't been one of those type of bowl games. Though I think all players get better the more they're on the field, and so that part of it, they're still getting reps. But it hasn't been one of those that it's been like where you had 4 or 5 practices that were like spring ball. That hasn't been the case with this.
Jesse Crittenden.
Hey, Bob, thank you for your time. I just wanted to ask, after you stepped in as interim coach, obviously you had to handle, recruiting and things like that. But what impact has Brent's hiring had on you, just in terms of being the interim coach and the things you've had to worry about and think about, just things like that? Has that made that process just simpler for you?
Oh, by a long shot. Once Brent was hired, the recruiting piece of it became his, along with the coaches he was retaining and hiring. And then obviously he went on the road, once he was hired, and that brought me off the road. So, that part of it was the biggest challenge, and Brent's handled it in the best way possible. And we've had a great early signing period already. And now this part of it, the practice piece of it, is really pretty routine for me, and I really enjoy it. So it's been that part of it's been fairly easy.
Appreciate it, Bob.
James Hale.
Bob, great to see you. No Matt McMillan, Bob. I thought Matt would come back. We'd have movies from San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm lost without Matt here at my side.
Absolutely. So you guys were a great duo. Bob, by my count, or at least from what I know, you don't have a tight end. You've lost, one of your tight ends is gone, one of your wide receivers. Everybody else in the offense is back, including in your offensive line. So how has that practice gone? It looks like that unit's ready to go. Am I right?
Well, both units have really looked good. So, sure. I mean, you next man up. We've got guys here that that are ready to play and have worked hard to play. So we're looking forward to to hopefully putting on a good game, playing a good game, and our guys have been working just fine.
On the defensive side, you had a chance to see some of the younger guys right now. How impressed have you been with the Ethan Downs and the players like that?
He and like Reggie
more?
Grimes has had more opportunities, and Ethan, and they look good. They're solid, good football players, and they got a ton of energy, are playing fast out there. So I like the way they're playing. They've looked good.
Thanks, Bob. Good luck.
Dean Blevins.
Yeah, Bob, I was wondering how long it took when you realized it was Oregon for you to remember the onside kick, and any thoughts on that?
Well, it didn't take long. Of course, I was reminded of it all the time, and in fact, Toby Keith sent me the picture of Alan Patrick standing there holding that, showing the sidelines the ball, where the official's in the middle of it, pointing like he sees something in there other than a shoe. And anyway, I was reminded of it immediately and thought of it immediately. But hey, that has nothing to do with this game. So that's water under the bridge. And like I said, I still count myself as above 80% win with since we won that game.
Thanks.
All right.
John Shin.
Yeah, Bob, just kind of piggybacking on that Oregon deal. Now that you spent a year in broadcasting, and I've seen you come in contact with Mike Pereira there at the Fox studio at least once or twice, just kind of how big all that has gotten, how much, I guess, how we see a game has changed maybe since 2006.
Yeah, but it's good. You can correct some egregious errors for it, like that one. Should have been corrected, and I think they do a great job of it in today's game of doing it relatively quickly, maybe not always, but trying to get it right. Everybody's too invested, not just players, coaches, fans. There's so much that rides on each game in football. So it's the right thing to do, to get it right, and that's what replay's for. And for the most part, it really works pretty well, I think. The games I see, they do get it right, and it makes a difference in the game.
And how much the world has changed. Any of us who covered it, I don't think you guys knew how egregious some of that stuff was the Saturday of it. It was maybe Sunday, and maybe the maddest I ever saw you was Monday when you found out that crew was suspended for a game.
Well, I was given way too much credit after the game for the poise I showed because I didn't see Allen with the ball. Everyone else had. Mm-hmm. And had I seen that, I might have been suspended a few games myself.
Thanks, Bob.
Barry?
Yeah, Bob, earlier you mentioned coaches and uncertainty with jobs and little kids and things. How fortunate do you feel? You raised your kids, they all were either born here or lived here their whole lives, went to school here their whole lives. How blessed were you, do you think, just from a family standpoint, to have a career where your family was able to stay in one place?
Yeah, I've always felt very fortunate, very blessed that this is all the one home my children know, and we love, of course, Norman, Oklahoma, and the state of Oklahoma. So I've always felt very fortunate that that's how my career, the way it went and the success we had, and was able to stay in one place this whole time. And really, for the most part, most of my assistant coaches as well, raised their children in one area, and even as I departed, people were able to continue on here in the same way. So, and truth be told, at a certain point in my career and my life, it was intentional. That was a factor in me remaining here, through 18 years.
Thanks, Bob.
Let's go to Myron Patton.
Yeah, Bob. I'm just curious. Any concern when you took over as the interim job, and really just maybe not just this bowl game, but with the playoff and everything else? Like when you played, games weren't on TV every week. There weren't as many bowl games. Now everybody's on TV. There's a bunch of bowl games. You got a playoff. Any concern about maybe guys not being as motivated for a game like this as opposed to years past? I know you're around Oklahoma a lot, but you're not a coach anymore. Any concern when you took over as the interim guy that could have been a problem?
Well, I mean, that's part of your job as a coach and assistant coaches and team leaders to motivate, to understand that, look, we're going to go out and compete. We need to be at our best. I mean, who wants to go out and compete and not be at your best? So to me, that's part of, and to be a true competitor, you do, find a way to be at your best when those moments come. And that's part of, again, that's part of what we've talked about, what we'll do in practice, the motivation leading up to the game, how to be prepared for it. I think it's part of your job each and every week as a coach, to make sure you find a way to have your team, to be at its best when it's time to play.
Okay, time for a couple more. Back to Jason Kersey.
Back to Schmidty. A lot of you may have seen it. A lot of your former players have been on Twitter telling their favorite Schmidty story. So I'm just wondering, do you have a favorite Schmidty story from those 18 years?
Well, I've got way too many. But the bottom line is he's going to, players at this level should want to be challenged, should want to be pushed to reach their max. To max out their ability, their toughness, everything that they're doing. That's how you get to an elite level. That's how you become a possible NFL prospect and an NFL player. To push yourself, to challenge yourself, to be at your very best, and to develop yourself. In the weight room, in the off season, to maximize your ability, your strength, your quickness, your speed, your power. And Schmidty will do that with these guys, and believe me, once they see the benefits of it, everyone talks about, oh yeah, it's challenging, it's tough, but also those guys love Schmidty. All those NFL guys are back hugging him all the time, and credit him, with helping put them in that position. So, so we're, our guys will be excited to work with them.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
And back to James.
Hey, Bob, if we can talk defense for a second, because talking to Brent, he joked, hey, I'm still running some of the same stuff that I was running back with, Coach Stoops back in Oklahoma. And I'm sure that's still the case. But how much defense, how much has it come along? What he was doing at Clemson didn't look exactly what you guys were doing. Talk about his defense and the principles you guys still have in that, what he'll use moving forward at Oklahoma.
Well, there's, defense, it isn't like offense. There's only so many ways you're going to line up. Four down linemen or three, odd or even, 3-4 backers, depending, or 5 DBs or 4. Zone coverages or zone coverages. There hasn't been a new one invented in the last 20, 30 years. Okay. I mean, so then you have your pressures and you play man. Again, you got your 4-man pressures and you got your 3 down linemen, and you got your pressures there. So, again, defense can only bend and change so much. In my opinion, it really gets down to players and, making plays and guys having the ability to, whether it be rush the passer or, a great blitzer or a great cover corner. At the end of the day, I think ultimately it gets down to that. And but Breno, he has a great way of motivating and getting his players to play a certain way, and so I'm excited to watch it and to see him implement that.
Fascinating. Thanks, Bob. Merry Christmas, man.
Happy holidays.
All right, that's all of our time this morning. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Happy holidays, everyone.